In case you don't want to watch a 2-hour plus video detailing every aspect of what is known about Ashes of Creation, here is a much shorter overview of the game. Ashes of Creation is an in-development MMO set in a high fantasy world known as Verra, where players' choices will shape and define the world around them. It is a PvX game with PvP and PvE elements intertwined. Risk to reward is a major pillar of the game, as are the 4 other design pillars listed on the screen. Ashes of Creation is based in part on certain elements from the 4 MMOs listed on screen, but the node system is the key new system that it is bringing to the genre. This is one of the elements that makes it a sandpark MMO, which is a hybrid of theme park and sandbox MMOs. Nodes are the core system of Ashes of Creation. Most systems interact with this system in some way. Every server will have 85 node locations on the map, and each node will have a zone of influence that surrounds the node. Any player activity in each zone of influence that generates experience for the player will also generate experience for the node. The entire map is covered in a zone of influence for a node, so you will always be contributing to a node no matter where you are on the map except in the starting areas. Zones of influence will expand or contract as nodes level or are destroyed. As players contribute XP to a node, it will level up. There are 7 levels of a node, stage 0 all the way to stage 6, the Metropolis stage. The first few stages are quick, the latter stages will take a lot longer. And nodes can be blocked from leveling if they become a vassal of another node. The vassal system starts when the first node in an area hits level 3. At that point, it'll vassalize one surrounding node, and that node cannot level higher than the parent node. As nodes advance, new content will unlock. Some content available on one server might be different from the content on another server based on how the different nodes advance. There are 4 different node types as well. The node types are divine, economic, military, and academic. You will be able to determine the node type at stage 1 when you see what NPCs are present. The NPC types for each node, node specialization, and node currencies are shown on screen. Each node type also has several unique node service buildings, and the currently known unique node buildings are shown on screen. In addition to the unique buildings for each node type, there are default buildings found at every node type that do not have to be constructed by players, and those are now shown on screen. There are also constructible buildings that mayors can choose to place, and the players can contribute resources to help build. There are limited open slots to place new buildings, so mayors will have to choose carefully. We do not know all the benefits of each node type yet. So far we know the most about academic and economic nodes, and we don't know a lot about divine and military nodes. At stage 6, nodes unlock a node superpower which varies by node type. Players can become a citizen of one of the 85 nodes via player housing. There are 4 housing types: apartments, freeholds, inns, and static in-node housing. Nodes also have many leadership positions. Nodes will elect a mayor every month starting at stage 3, and the election type varies for each node type. Those election types are shown on screen. Mayors have a lot of leadership powers, which you can see on screen. Node wars are another planned feature of nodes, wherein a node can declare war on another node. Node sieges are also planned. These enable players to destroy a node if they win the siege starting at node stage 3. Sieging nodes will not be an easy task for the attackers, and the higher level nodes have a significant defensive advantage. With nodes covered, let's talk about PvP. PvP is always on in Ashes, with the only safe zones inside any player-owned housing or in player-owned stalls within nodes. However, despite PvP always being on, there is a system called corruption that is designed to penalize griefers who attack and kill those who do not fight back. There are 3 flagging states in Ashes: non-combatants who have a green nameplate, combatants who have a purple nameplate, and corrupted who have a red nameplate. The flagging states and all possible flagging combinations are seen in this chart. It looks very complicated at first glance, but in reality it is not that complicated. The only way someone can become corrupted is to first become a combatant by attacking a combatant or non-combatant, and then they get a killing blow on a non-combatant. Combatants killing combatants do not become corrupted. Non-combatants are free to attack corrupted players without becoming combatants themselves. All players start as non-combatants. Players are flagged as combatants if they attack another player. If the player fights back, they are flagged as a combatant. Killing a combatant player will not flag a player as corrupt. Death penalties are also planned for Ashes. The normal death penalty includes XP debt, skill and stat dampening, a reduction in drop rates from mobs, durability loss, and dropping roughly 20 to 30% of carried gatherables, materials, and glint. Corrupted players see a 4 times increase in these penalties, and combatants have a 50% reduction in these penalties. Most PvP in Ashes is intended to happen through opt-in objective-based PvP systems. These are high-risk and high-reward encounters that do not utilize the corruption system. These include castle and node sieges, caravans, guild wars, node wars, arenas, and naval PvP in the open seas. Caravans are rolling PvP zones that are meant for transporting cargo across the map. Players, when encountering a caravan, can choose to attack, defend, or ignore the objective entirely. A group will be needed to successfully attack a caravan. Castle sieges are another objective-based PvP system. There are 5 guild castles, and each will influence 1/5 of the world map. After a guild first takes a castle from the NPCs that own the castle at the launch of the server, there are castle sieges every single month to determine the castle owner for the next month. There are many benefits given to the guild that owns a castle, so expect them to be highly contested. As for the monthly castle sieges, the sieges will only happen during a server primetime window. The minimum goal for these sieges is for them to accommodate 250 versus 250 on a single battlefield, but the developers are hoping for as much as 500 versus 500. Guild Wars are also planned. There's not a lot known about Guild Wars just yet, but the goal of Guild Wars is for them to be objective-based with great risk involved for both sides, similar to Node Wars. Arenas are also planned with a full ladder system. Arenas are also part of the 6-month-long PvP seasons along with caravans and Guild Wars. Ashes also intends to have a naval combat system that closely mirrors that of Arcade, which is widely regarded as the best naval system in any MMO. There are many different ships planned, which players can build at a harbor ship workstation if they have the components, which come from various artisan professions. The corruption PvP flagging system automatically flags anyone that enters open seas as combatants, which in essence makes them an open PvP zone. Other naval content planned includes naval raid bosses, underwater dungeons, treasure hunting, naval-specific quest lines, and a lot more. Moving on to PvE, there are a lot of PvE options in Ashes. Much of the available PvE content revolves around the nodes and how they progress. Questing is divided into 4 categories: events, commissions, story arcs, and side quests. Events are things that happen in Ashes as a result of development in the world. Several different types of events are triggered due to certain predicates being met. One of the mayoral powers is mayoral commissions, which are simple quests with singular objectives that the mayor can select from and place in one of the available slots. In addition to mayoral commissions, nodes also have regular node commissions available at the commission board, which are system generated and refresh every 30 minutes. Story arcs are unlocked by multiple types of player activity within each server, including node progression. The overall narrative of a server is driven by the outcome of all the story arcs and node progression on the server. Side quests are quests with a variety of objectives that can pop up while adventuring in the world. These quests give a variety of rewards and can lead into larger quest chains. Dungeons will be approximately 80% open world, and the open world dungeons will have the hardest content and the best loot. The instance dungeons are more tailored for delivering solo and group quest lines. There are planned to be 12 to 15 raid bosses in the world. Legendary equipment can only drop from legendary world bosses, but the chance will be low, and the materials these bosses drop can be used to craft legendary gear. Adaptive PvE content such as new POI spawning, new buildings and mobs spawning, and the difficulty of content changing will all happen as nodes advance. New dungeons and new pathways and larger dungeons might open as nodes develop. And now we are ready for the next major topic of Ashes, the economy. Ashes has a heavily player-driven economy, much more so than in the currently popular theme park MMOs. The economy of Ashes is designed to be regional. Prices might vary based on location and supply and demand in that region. The reason for this is there is no central global auction house, there is no fast travel of materials, and some materials will spawn more frequently in some areas of the world. Gold will be generated in a unique way in Ashes. Most mobs will not drop gold, instead they will drop glint that must be turned in at hunting lodges in exchange for player commodities, which can be sold for gold at that node or transported to another node via caravans for a higher gold return. Player trading is done via several methods: simple player-to-player trading or through player stalls, player shops, or auction houses. That covers the economy of Ashes. Now let's talk about the system that is heavily tied into the economy and progression systems of the game, the Artisan system. The Artisan system encompasses the gathering, processing, and crafting systems. Within each of these Artisan classes lies different individual professions. As of now, there are 22 different professions in total. Artisan progression starts at level 1 and goes to level 50. Level 1 through 10 is Novice, and level 40 to 50 is Grandmaster. Players can become a Grandmaster in 2 professions. Gathering is the first Artisan class, and in Ashes most of the visible resources in the world are harvestable, similar to games like New World. Processing is the second Artisan class. It involves refining the gathered raw materials. The bulk of the time spent in the Artisan system resides in the processing branch. The time to process varies based on the quality of the processed goods. Some processing can be carried out in nodes, but the best processing is done on player-owned freeholds. Crafting is the third and final Artisan class in Ashes. It requires the acquisition of recipes in order to craft items. The crafting system of Ashes takes a lot of inspiration from Star Wars Galaxy's crafting. Crafting stations are located on freeholds or within nodes. Higher tier crafting stations are unlocked with node progression, and the highest tier of crafting stations are only available in nodes. That covers economy and the Artisan system. Now let's talk about the map. Ashes of Creation is planned to launch on a 1,200 square kilometer world map with an additional Underrealm area of 100 square kilometers. There will be minimal fast travel options, and players will not be able to teleport with materials in their inventory. Ashes will not have traditional zone level ranges where you travel from zone to zone as you level. Instead, it will have varying mob levels within each node's ZOI. As nodes level up, higher level content will unlock surrounding that node. Biomes refer to what many people might consider a zone in most MMOs. There are 18 different biomes planned for the Ashes world map. Ashes also has plans for extremely extensive weather, seasons, and day and night cycles. Some biomes will have fixed climates and others are variable. Dynamic weather effects that are triggered by events are also a planned feature. Certain abilities or professions might be enhanced by weather and climate. For example, lightning might be stronger in rain. Day and night cycles occur over the course of a few hours in Ashes. Some resources are only gatherable at specific times of the day. NPCs and mobs may be awake or have varying behaviors at different times of the day. Ashes combat leans towards tab, but there are a lot of template skill shot style abilities, active blocking and dodging, projectile and player collision, and other elements that make it feel a little more action based than normal tab games. Ashes also features 64 playable classes as well. However, in essence, they are just 8 highly customizable classes. At the start of the game, players will choose a primary archetype from 8 archetypes. The archetypes and their primary role are listed on the screen. At level 25, players can choose a secondary archetype amongst the 8 archetypes to create their class. The table of class names is shown on screen currently. Choosing a secondary archetype does not create new skills, instead it augments the skills of the primary archetype. There are planned to be 9 playable races in Ashes as well. 4 parent races each with 2 sub-races and the Tolnar race, which is a hybrid of all the other 8 races. There are countless other systems that I do not have time to get into in this condensed overview video. Social organizations, religions, combat pets, an incredibly extensive mount system, a naval mariner skills progression system, a caravan progression system called the Highwayman system, a stock exchange wherein players can buy shares in nodes, guilds, or social organizations, a monster coin system which is part of the event system wherein players can use monster coins to become a monster during certain events. And there are many more systems and ancillary systems like this that provide myriad different ways for a player to advance and progress their character. The bottom line is, this MMO is likely to be the most complex and content-rich MMO at launch, if they are able to get all these systems in and functional by launch. And that is the highly condensed overview of Ashes of Creation. There was a lot I had to leave out to condense this video to 15 minutes. If you want to know a lot more, be sure to watch my full 2+ hour long Everything Known About Ashes of Creation video. If you need a guild, Genesis Guild is recruiting. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.